And even my mom.
She was the food one. You were the business one.
Yes.
And then she split.
Yeah.
And she left.
Well, we were going to kill each other. So it was one of us had to go.
It's time for breaking bread with Papa. Hey, don't you know? Hey, it's also a show. Hey.
So nice to see you.
So nice to see you.
Sorry about Los Angeles.
I'm glad to be here, but I am mortified that I was very late.
No.
Not for us.
Don't even worry about it.
In the South, everything is like 20, 30 minutes. Like that is a thing, but that is not my thing.
Right.
I mean, you don't know me, but I promise that is not my thing. So.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, no, it's fine. We were just hanging out anyway. It's nice to see you, sincerely. As someone who bakes a bunch and always has in the back of his brain, like, how can I get this bread to people? How can I have people asking all the time, can you give me bread? And you did it. You actually created this amazing company that takes beautiful baked goods and got them to people. I don't know how you did it, and that's why you're here.
Yeah, well.
We're stealing your business plan, really.
You can have it.
Get
You
to
can
the
have
bottom
it.
of it.
That is the big reveal. You may have it.
Yeah, I'm done.
It is, I think back, it's been 19 years, and it didn't start out as me wanting to be in every neighborhood grocery store in America.
Right.
But I've realized that there is not a better product, and I don't say that in a way of being obnoxious, but I believe that our biscuits are the best biscuits in the country.
They're so good.
Thank you. Thank you.
I was like, well, this is pretty, and we made them yesterday.
Yeah.
And we did the blueberry one and the buttermilk.
Thank you.
And I've also was like, trying to find like a good biscuit recipe. And the buttermilk one, it has that thing, that home style satisfaction when you eat it and then like it kind of lingers in that buttery goodness.
Oh, I
was
love
like,
this.
oh man, they really pulled it off.
Thank you.
Because, we get some stuff sent to us, and it comes close, not with biscuits, but food that, that they send along like, oh, it's just like, it usually isn't. Yours was.
Oh,
yeah,
thanks.
it was really good and very dangerous.
Dangerous. Well, everything in moderation. I mean, I eat probably at least a biscuit a day, and I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm in fair shape. So
Great shape. Glowing.
I think that everyone should have a biscuit a day. Maybe not more than one,
Yeah.
but you should have one.
I know, but yours they're also at the size where you're like, that's not really one. I could have 2 or 3.
That is part of our problem as Americans. We have, supersized everything.
I know.
And so I always say 6 is the perfect amount for your family supper table, unless you're, a larger family. And that is, you should enjoy it. Life and enjoy every bite.
I know. Now, your mom was the one who was the biscuit baker.
So my mom is Callie. She had a catering business while I was growing up, and she makes all kinds of food. I mean, she makes Indian, Asian, Mexican, but she always made these country ham biscuits, which in the South, that is a thing.
Yeah.
A ham biscuit is at every party in the South.
Yeah.
What is it? What is a ham
It
biscuit?
it's in her case, it was a cheddar biscuit that she sliced in the middle, and most people would just put a slice of either Virginia ham or country ham. Country ham is cured in salt, so it's very savory. But, if you're standing at a cocktail party and you take a bite of a ham biscuit, the whole ham comes out of your mouth and you're left with a biscuit, ham hanging in a cocktail dress. It doesn't work. So she said, well, I'm going to chop the ham, and then that way you get ham in every bite. It's a little bit more elegant. Yeah. She put a Dijon mustard butter in the center, and it just became this thing where every time, I was always the server from the time I was 12 until, 30.
Right.
And people would say, where do I get this? And so I think that started this, you can't cater forever. I want to be involved in the food world, but I don't want to own a restaurant because I want to have a lifestyle where I can raise our daughters. And I had a problem to solve. I wanted to start my own business so I could be at home with our girls. And so I said in 2005, let's start a mail order country ham biscuit business.
And people weren't really doing that back then.
No.
I mean, it was slowly starting.
No one was doing it, and you know what else? No one was buying them because
no.
we were online. I mean, there
Right.
wasn't. I was way before my time.
Yeah.
But that was okay because I was also raising our daughters, and we had 3 right in a row, and so it was kind of this perfect pace and marriage of I got to work a little, and kind of dream about what I wanted this to be, and it was a very slow roll.
So was the catering, watching your mom running the catering, did you get an idea of how to make in bulk and
Yes.
how to...
She's the one that she always made them in bulk and she would freeze them. So I knew that they could be frozen. In fact, like I would never be allowed a biscuit right out of the oven. She'd be like, no, those are for the party next week. You know, so
Right.
I people wouldn't know that they weren't fresh out of the oven.
Oh.
So that was part of the idea. Well, if we could make them in bulk and make them ahead, then we could freeze them and sell them. But
Right.
she thought it was a horrible idea. She's like, nobody is going to buy these. And what is the internet? You know, that's a hard thing to imagine in 2004. She said,
Yeah.
nobody is going to buy these. And they're made by hand. And that's partly, well, really mainly why they taste so good because we still make them by hand.
Right. Yeah, I saw on YouTube making them. And
Yeah.
it's impressive, but it's all people in there.
It's
like
all people.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have about 12 bakers, and they literally pour 5-pound bags of flour into big bowls, and we mix them all
Yeah.
together and stamp them like crazy, and we can make 20,000 a day if we
20,000
are
a
working really
day.
hard. Yeah, yeah. It's a quick bread, so biscuits shouldn't take. It's not like a
Right.
yeasted bread where you have to wait for it to rise. It happens immediately, and so But I mean, any biscuit manufacturer would tell you they could make 1 million biscuits in a day. So I'm tiny, tiny, tiny compared to
Right.
the other biscuit companies in America.
Right.
I don't think I've done 20,000 of anything in a day.
In your life.
That productive at all. Zero.
But now,
point.
when you make biscuits at home, it's always keep the butter cold.
I never do that.
And be really quick about it. And you
Yes.
get into this biscuit panic because you're like, they don't want you to handle the butter too much and have it soften so it doesn't. So when you bake it, it's going to release and fluff up.
Yeah, I mean, we don't freeze our butter. We don't grate it in. We've never done that. I don't see a difference in the summer. Our butter is softer, and in the winter it's firmer.
Right.
And I don't see a difference.
Yeah.
So I'm here to kind of debunk that myth. I don't know.
Thank
good.
you. It's been
I mean,
keeping
who's
us
going to grate
up at
frozen
night.
butter into a bowl of flour? I mean, I
a panic.
understand it for pie dough,
Right.
but not for biscuits. No.
Yeah. Damn it. What's your favorite biscuit?
The buttermilk.
The buttermilk.
The buttermilk is the base of everything, and it is so versatile. So it can be breakfast, lunch, dinner. It can be, stuffed with things. It can be topped with things. It can be on top of a casserole. It can be a crouton. It's just everything.
Right.
And the flavor of the buttermilk and the cream cheese and the way that those two, the acidity just pops. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
just so good.
That blueberry one's,
You like it?
yeah, I really love blueberry. I was making blueberry scones for a while.
Yes.
Anything with blueberry.
We didn't speak during that period.
Oh, man,
Because
that's really
he just
true. We
wanted to eat-
fought.
What?
She hates scones.
I feel
A scone person.
they just suck all the moisture out
That's
of
a
your
bad
face. No.
do. And that
They-
little tinny taste, aftertaste that on my tongue. I can't stand it.
Now, I have a question for you. On top of French onion soup, what is that? Is that a
Cheese.
biscuit? No. What's there's like
everybody has-
bread.
The floating
Yeah,
bread.
it can be
bread-
a
what-
piece of French bread. It can be any bread.
No, there's...
And then they cover it with Gruyere.
Right.
And then
Okay.
they broil it.
Right.
But I feel like that's biscuit bread.
Well, I mean, I make
No.
mine with
No, it's not.
biscuit
You
dough,
do,
but most
of course.
people don't. Most
no,
people don't.
because wouldn't that break up more than like a
The
piece of
French
bread?
place down the street,
Yeah.
down from here, they put a big, huge biscuit on top.
Really?
Massive. It's like a hat.
I love hearing this.
Yes.
In California, a
Yes.
biscuit on top of the French onion soup?
Yeah,
I want the
yeah,
address.
yeah.
I'm going.
Well,
down
here's
the
the thing
street.
about LA. They all act like they don't like bread and they all act like they don't eat
Okay.
food, but they all secretly binge.
I'm glad to hear this.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear this because we are finally on the West Coast, which is why I'm here. And
Right.
this is such a big deal. And everyone keeps saying, well, people in LA don't eat bread. And I thought, well, how could that be? I mean, bread is, it's essential. I think all I've eaten today is bread.
100%. That was
multiple
my
times.
big thing. My big thing when I started baking bread, and I fell in love with it, making like real sourdough bread. And I had these friends that were like, I can't, I'm gluten. I'm like, and I was like, why is it that bread's been around for thousands of years, and then we show up, and it's the worst thing that you can possibly eat?
Because people eat too much of it.
And they don't eat real bread.
Correct.
They don't eat real.
They don't eat real bread.
Yes.
They don't make them, and they do, and they eat way more than they should. So,
Yeah.
anytime you eat anything more than you should, you're going to have a stomach ache.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
When I do
100%.
too much meth, it is a nightmare. You know, meth
know,
in
I've heard
moderation.
that.
That's always what.
And you have a problem with scones.
I love that.
Here's the thing. LA has, I mean, come on, 8 million people. People eat bread here. There's a small, tiny percentage. And I'm not even in that I'm like medically, I don't eat it. But like there
Right.
is a small percentage that for more vanity, and they feel like, well, I have to get ready for my next movie or whatever. I get that. But everyone here eats a lot.
I didn't hear anything you just said because I'm starting to smell the biscuits.
I know, I
smell
smell
'em
them too. So do you think one of your daughters might want to take over the biscuit business? Do you see one of them kind of moving in, making strides?
I don't think so.
No, not into
They've
it?
all worked for me, with me currently. They all work at our little restaurants in Charleston.
Right.
And I want them to have their own dream.
Yeah.
You know, they've grown up in it. And so it's not an easy business. And I've really encouraged them, you got to find your own passion. Like, this is my dream, and I'm happy to let you be a part of it, but I don't want you just taking over my dream because it's not your dream.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what does it mean that you've expanded into California? So that means, is it difficult to do? Is it like a timing thing? Like, how does that work?
Well, it's difficult to do in that we needed to find the right partner. And so Whole Foods was the partner that was the best choice for us, because we had proven ourselves on the East Coast in Whole Foods and knew that they would be the right partner to come out here.
Got it.
And they have such a big presence here. And their customer is our customer. So it's not easy to get into Whole Foods nationally.
Really?
It takes a lot, especially for a small company like me. I mean, you know, if you're a bigger brand, then maybe you have an easier time, but
Right.
it's financially not easy, and it's a beast. So you really need to know what you're doing, and you need to have like good representation.
A beast? What do you mean? A beast how? Like to...
You know,
There's a lot of competition.
There's a lot of competition, but it's just the machine of Whole Foods it's unbelievable. I mean,
Yeah.
Amazon now,
it's
too.
it's cutthroat. Like, you've got to
Yeah.
prove yourself. You've got to make sure that the sales are there. You've got to make sure that people know about you. And in bigger cities like this,
Yeah.
that's not easy to do when you're a little Southern biscuit company.
Right. Oh, man.
So,
Yeah.
but I like a challenge. So we're gonna,
Yeah. You've got to be... I mean, how... You really didn't have... You're learning as you go, right? When
yeah,
you're starting.
I was an elementary education major. I have no business being in this business.
Right.
Zero. And by
Yeah.
the way, I'm not a baker. And I was
Right,
not
I read that.
classically trained in any culinary other than in the South. You know, we raise the women to be good cooks. So
Yeah.
I had a lot of that.
I love the pictures of I think it's your mom and your grandmother. Mm-hmm. Those are such great shots in your book.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, we've been raised to sit at the breakfast table and talk about what are we going to have for lunch, and at lunch talk about what we're going to have for supper, and when our cocktails happen. I mean, that is just it's like in our blood.
Yeah.
So I knew that I wanted to be a part of feeding people. I just needed to figure out how to make it happen, and because the internet was taking so long to come along with my idea of being a mail order company, I
Yeah.
started selling to locally owned grocery stores. Like, one of my oldest retailers here is Vicente Foods. It's in Pacific Palisades,
Right.
maybe.
Yeah.
And I don't know how I got so lucky, but they found us, and they've been carrying our biscuits forever.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, the Palisades, they have a clientele that wants something different. You know, they
Okay.
want to get things that are not just...
That's where all the movie stars live.
Yeah, yes. I used to actually work for someone out in the Palisades. So they were always about, like, find me something that's like a biscuit with sea salt. You know what I mean? Like they want something that's unique.
Yeah.
So they can impress their friends at parties.
I'm eating your biscuit crackers because they're here.
Yes.
And
and you've got to taste everything too.
they have that satisfying biscuit thing at the end that we were talking about earlier, but in a cracker.
I love that.
But these did not exist before
They didn't.
you.
So because we make the biscuits by hand, we don't ever stamp after the second rollout because the dough becomes very tough. The gluten's working and it's just too tough to be a biscuit. Kind of like what you get when you do that can. That's what the
Right. Can't put it back in.
right. So we were always throwing away about, a decent ball of dough, and so I hated that we were throwing away
Yeah.
dough. And I said, let's just roll it really thin and dock it and poke holes in it and bake it and see what happens. And it became this great cracker. And
Yeah.
so we started putting on our catering platters and people were like, what is this? This went on for years. This started in 2018. And then I bought a sheeter and we started making them by hand, but we could only produce in a day like 300 bags, which in my world you might as well not even do it. So
It's so crazy.
I found a co-manufacturer that does this for a living and has like a massive, tunnel oven and all that. And so we've worked for the last year developing to make sure that it is the same, but in like a 500-pound batch. And so we decided to launch a line of biscuit crackers.
They're so good.
Sea salt, sharp cheddar, and everything born out of the leftover
It's so
So
great.
scraps
smart.
of
Yes.
dough.
So good.
Use everything.
Yeah, use
Yeah.
everything. And I mean, I love that it's got a crunch. It tastes like a biscuit. It's good enough to have on its own, but also obviously great with things like pimento cheese and hummus and dill dip and all the things that we love to eat.
It's so good. It really has that satisfying biscuit thing, but it's a cracker.
Thank you.
This is so nice. Never mind.
I will have a bite.
You will?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll have a bite.
I don't want to kill you.
Well,
Yeah. Well, I want you to, if you'll have a bite of the biscuit is what I really want you to
oh
do.
my gosh, it tastes just like a biscuit.
Yeah. And this
Amazing.
Is everything.
So good. I'm gonna steal these bags. Can I take some?
Oh, I brought extras for y'all to take home.
Okay.
I baked you bread.
Well, I was wondering, I did you see me as soon as we came in? I touched it because I saw you making it last night on
You
Instagram.
did? Right.
And I
You're
said,
proud.
where are the biscuits? Why aren't you making biscuits?
Oh, you did?
Yes,
That's
yes.
funny. Biscuit. It's so funny because my daughter, when she was probably 12, she became the biscuit baker in the house. Yeah. More drop biscuit. Mm-hmm. And really good. And then she left, and I out of this fancy cookbook, made these other biscuits where you kind of
Laminate the dough.
laminate the dough.
Like a croissant, like layers.
Yeah. And they weren't as popular in the house as her drop biscuits.
A drop biscuit is great because if you just drop it, then you get all this texture all over, and so there's crunchy bits everywhere, which is how my grandmother used to make them, and I do love a drop biscuit.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah. So I stopped baking them because I felt like she thought I was coming at her.
Competing?
Yeah. But if you want to take a look at the bread, I mean,
I would love to.
you can bring it. I know you're out on the road and stuff, but
Are you kidding me? I went to this morning. We went on a hike and we went to this. Oh my God! Look at how
It's
gorgeous.
beautiful.
I'm a smeller. Are you a smeller? Okay. Some
I'm
people are like, "What are you
smelly.
doing?"
I
yeah,
smell.
I think that's why I kept baking.
Oh my
Because
God!
that smell was in the house all the time. So I just
good smell.
yeah. So I just
What is it? A
didn't stop.
She
sourdough?
is a beautiful anything though. Any bread I smell. That's
Yeah.
the first thing I do. Isn't that weird?
Yeah, no, not
She's
at all.
gorgeous. You ought to start a business.
She's all
then
yours.
You'll really start to not like it.
Oh, I know. Well, that's the problem. I know. I started when I tour around and we visit bakeries, and there's always a little bit because people got really excited about it. And as you know, when you start making something and people get excited, you're like, we should spread this or
Yeah.
we could do something else with this. But then you see how hard that world is, how much work it is. A lot. It really is. I mean, from the small like single bakery to what you're doing, it's a whole life.
It is intense, and I don't do it very well, but we're just doing it until.
Just keep going.
Yeah, I mean, we make mistakes every day, and then we get up and go, okay, we're just going to start over and keep going. I don't know what else to do. I'm too far in it now.
All right, if we have a chart of the years and the stress, are we constantly getting more stressful as we become bigger, or is it peaked and then you come?
No, it's harder. You know, and I think a
always.
lot of people that don't have businesses on their, aren't entrepreneurs think that the hardest part is starting, and that is hard.
Yeah.
But as you grow, especially if you're trying to scale it, CPG, consumer packaged goods, grocery store, is very, very hard. And I'm not sure that it is very hard to be a small business and be successful.
Oh, yeah.
So it just gets harder and harder. And there's no education for it that I'm aware of. I mean, other than just being in it.
So when you say it's hard, it's because you have to, like, you have a lot of overhead, or what is it, finding people that can do it? Like,
yeah, I mean, well, in Charleston, I feel like I need to get the biscuits.
Go ahead.
Is that okay?
yes.
Yeah.
Biscuits calling. Whoa.
Move that, Carrie. Yeah, biscuits. But Joe, we got biscuits.
Wow. They're so cute. They're so sweet.
Can you pass me one of those little plates?
Yes.
So nice.
Wow.
So if it is so much more work to get into the supermarket end of it, it must be lucrative. That must be why you venture into it.
I think you,
rather than just stay as a mail order thing.
I think
I'll
that
take
you.
cinnamon, please.
Okay. Do you mind?
Yeah, go ahead. No, you use your hands. Use your hands.
Extra flavor.
Would you like some cinnamon butter?
Sure.
How could you say no to that?
Yeah.
Oh, do we have a little knife, Joey? Any plastic utensils or?
I'm not sure if we do.
Wow,
Use
this
your
is gonna
fingers.
melt.
Use your fingers. Get in
We're
there.
just expanding into the eating more. It took
You
us
wanna butter
forever.
one too while I'm here?
Yeah, while you're there.
I mean,
And I feel like, Joe, do you want one?
No, I'm good. Thank
You are? Oh, because they're not vegan.
Look at these party forks.
I didn't know you were vegan. I would have made you a vegan biscuit.
Oh, it's okay.
I actually am making those for tomorrow.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow, look at you.
Ooh.
Happy.
Now, let's say you cook these up, right? How long would these last for?
You mean like out in the wild?
Yes.
On your counter?
Yeah.
I mean, I would. So that's the thing about biscuits. They need to be eaten hot.
Yeah.
So, you can always reheat them.
Okay.
They're fully baked when you buy them in the grocery store. So all I did was reheat them, and I wrap them in foil because that keeps the moisture in and they don't dry out.
Yeah.
So I would, if we were to sit here for an hour, I would want you to put them back in the oven. Just, put the foil back on them and reheat them just a little.
Okay.
You can also, I don't like to do this, but you can. I've never done an air fryer or a microwave, but I hear that you can do that. But I don't do that.
Okay. But like,
Here's the thing, though.
yeah.
When you are hanging around on Sunday watching basketball,
Okay.
and your friend dropped off a whole bunch of biscuits at your house,
As friends do.
and you just pop them in the oven for 20 to 25 minutes, and they're done. And then you have biscuits out. And if you've made too much for you and your wife to eat because your children have gone back to school, you could just leave them on the cooling rack
Yes.
all day.
Yes.
And then when you move into drinking wine, and then you move into now watching Godzilla because the basketball's over, and every time you walk back into the kitchen,
They're
you can
staring
pick them
at you.
up, and they don't have to be heated because they're so delicious. You just pop
Okay.
them in your mouth as you go.
Do
Okay.
you do wine pairings with your biscuits?
Yes, we do. I love a country ham biscuit with champagne.
Oh, hello.
And I love to put little mini fried chicken in the cheese and chive.
Oh, man.
Great with a beer or a glass of wine. Yeah, I mean they are cocktail party ready.
For sure. Yeah.
I mean
can
that's
see that.
that's how we started this gig. My mom was schlepping, biscuits around to all of her catered parties, and so people went crazy for them.
Wow. There's really something to that. Like every great business, and it's no joke. I mean, we have you here because it's so good. The product
thank
is so
you.
great. All the good ones, all the real successful ones, they had that origin story of someone was making it, really believed in it. It was their passion, and it was so good that other people started. Like without that spark, you can kind of fake it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure big companies, process and manipulate our wants. But for these kind of startups, it takes that spark.
Well, and that is kind of what keeps you going because it's so hard and there's so many problems and there's always a struggle. It's that passion, and that's kind of why I want my girls to figure out what they want to do and not just take over mine, because they're never going to have the drive that I have. It's just because it isn't their dream, it's mine.
Yeah.
And even my mom, I mean, my mom thought it was a horrible idea. And she said, you go for it. This is not, I don't think this is going to, I mean, she basically said she didn't believe in it. And so.
Well, you say that in the book, like you started, she was the food one, you were the business one.
Yes.
And then she split.
Yeah.
And she left.
Well, we were going to kill each other. So it was one of us had to go.
Really? Why?
And,
what happened in those days?
Oh my gosh. I mean, she wanted to start at noon and let the bakers, bake until 3 and bring them lunch and give them an hour break and pay them $25 an hour 19 years ago. And they were college kids.
Oh, really?
Wow.
And they
She was
weren't
just
actually producing a good product. I mean, it was not anything like what this is. So, she just didn't have the vision that I had. And back then, the vision that I had was not what I have today. So it wasn't biscuit crackers and, I wanted to grow a biscuit business, but I had no idea what I was doing, and I didn't know anything about grocery stores. I knew nothing.
Yeah.
So, and I still know nothing about grocery stores, but I'm learning by mistakes.
I mean, I have a really talented friend of mine who makes pizzas and stuff, and he has a tomato sauce, and it was like, this guy's super successful. But watching him try and get his cans on the shelves is so difficult.
It is difficult.
You're just up against these giant companies, and it's
they will
so hard.
They will clear you out in a second. They'll just put down what they call slotting, and they'll say, "No, we don't want all these small companies taking up my space." And it's advertising for them, so they'll just say, "We'll pay for that shelf." And I mean, I can't pay to be on the shelf.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, it's like being an author.
That's the part that nobody knows about the grocery store business. And so, part of me thinks, until you get to be that big, you might not be able to be super successful because there's so much of a financial burden that you have to bear.
Yeah.
And you're not Procter and Gamble and all those. So.
And then sometimes the little companies get bought out.
Yeah.
Don't they?
Yeah.
And then they don't want the competition, or they see you're doing something a little different.
You got to be way bigger than me, but yes. I mean.
Well, don't sell yourself short.
Yes.
I mean, this is the kind of thing that they would look at and go, huh.
She's planning your retirement right now.
Hey, I'm here for it.
But then also,
No joke.
When I see a product like yours that I'm like, what's this? I haven't seen this before. I actually am attracted to getting something that's not. I do shop at Whole Foods and Sprouts, and and if I see something that's like a little different, I usually buy it. I want to try it.
I love that.
Because I don't want to buy the Cheerios.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I'll buy
Same.
the little, O-rings or whatever they're called. I think that's a birth control. Sorry.
Anyways, I knew what you meant.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I'll buy that because it's usually less processed, and it's usually, it feels more, by hand. And by the way, whenever I think by hand, I think of your joke, Tom, where he does this joke about making cookies with your hands. That's all I ever
handmade
think
cookies.
about, just with your hands. But I prefer that.
But there's the other side of it where you'll see like a crunchy bag and it looks like kind of small and mom and pop.
Yeah.
And then you realize, you missed the rise. They've actually already been bought out by Nabisco or something like that.
Yeah.
And they kind of kept the thing going. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is your retirement plan for sure, is we get these now into Whole Foods. It goes national, and then some company comes along and is like, they're taking up our shelf space.
Yeah.
We've got to
Let's
give
just
Carrie
buy
a whole
'em.
bunch of money.
I'm ready. I'm happy. Call me. Whoever you are, call me.
This is the podcast.
You know why
that
this
does
is
it.
great for the podcast, too? I've been eating this whole time.
I love it.
And the one thing that our listeners get mad about, only the mean ones, when we chew a lot on the microphone, biscuits, you don't even know I'm chewing.
Soft chew.
Right, Joe? You're on the headphones?
No chewing at all.
No chewing.
There you go.
So in my world, a biscuit should be a little crisp on top, a little crisp on the bottom, but then when you bite into it, it should be like a down pillow, like just the most delicious texture in your mouth that isn't offensive.
So you've probably been out to LA before.
I've been.
Right.
My husband's from Manhattan Beach.
Oh.
Really?
yeah.
Oh,
I love your
wow.
husband. I haven't met him, but sorry to interrupt, Kira,
That's
but
okay.
I really feel like we'd be friends because on whatever the cover of your
he's making
cookbook,
drinks?
yeah, Hot Little Suppers is one of the.
yeah.
There's 2 cookbooks in total.
Yes, 2 cookbooks.
You really should get them. Our listeners should get them because you can actually make your own biscuits, and there's just a lot of cool stuff. But I like your husband so much because it's all about biscuits, and everybody's got some like fresh vegetables and stuff, except for your husband who's got a martini shaker.
Yeah, and that is so true. This is our life,
and that's
by the
my
way.
life.
Me too. People say,
That's
"Oh, is your
awesome.
husband involved in the business?" I was like, "Yeah, he makes me a martini every night and listens to me complain about all the problems of the day."
That's amazing.
That is a very important job.
It's a great, absolutely.
funny.
And if you get
Download.
to Christmas section, he's making eggnog and a Christmas blazer. So,
Oh, really?
Yeah, for your.
So now he's this
I love
Manhattan
him.
Beach guy that lives in the South.
He is.
And how is that?
How did you meet?
We met in New York. Well, so he lived in Manhattan Beach until he was 12. Then his parents moved the entire family to Jackson, Wyoming, because it was the middle school situation here was too much, and they wanted to have like a more wholesome
That's
life.
the excuse they gave him.
That is what they
Someone
told
was
him.
running from something.
Right.
Yeah. You don't go to Wyoming. Wyoming? That's like
They
a
had been
witness protection.
vacationing there forever, and
Sure.
so his mom's dream was to have like a ranch.
Oh yeah.
And so they actually still live there, and his sisters still live there. But I met him in New York. I was living in New York, and we had a mutual friend. He got stuck there over the weekend right after 9/11, and he didn't know anybody. And so he called his sisters, and my childhood friend lived with his sisters. I mean, this is the craziest story. And he said, "Does anybody know anybody here in New York? I'm here for the weekend." And she said, "Oh, you need to call my friend Carrie." And we were engaged 3 months later. And he lived in
What?
Wyoming, and I lived in New York. And then we decided to move to Charleston.
That's amazing.
Isn't that crazy?
3 months later.
3 months later.
That-
And I was almost engaged to another John.
Really?
His name is John, yes.
We didn't like that
Oh,
guy
I
as
thought
much
you
though.
meant like a
No,
pimp
it was
that
crazy.
says- okay, so let's
John.
forget
No,
it.
sorry.
What were you doing in New York at the time?
I was working for an internet startup company, which I think partly is what gave me the idea, because it was the beginning of the internet, and I'd gone through this company
Right.
with them with a VC, and it bombed.
Mm.
But it was such a great experience. And then I came home, and Charleston is so different than New York and LA. It's just very sleepy
Yeah.
in a good way. And I just knew that I needed to do my own thing. I mean, in Charleston, it's very hospitality focused. So I knew I could start a restaurant and run a restaurant, but that was not the life I wanted to lead. So
Yeah.
I had to figure it out.
How'd you know? 3 months you're engaged. That's pretty great. And
Well, we
which
were
is
older.
a weird time too, because 9/11 everything was unsteady. You didn't know
Yeah.
what we should do.
You know, I think you just know when you know. I mean,
Yeah.
I was 29, and I just knew. I had that feeling, and we had the same values,
Yeah.
like building a family together, and talked a lot about that. And I don't know. I think both of us also took a chance, but it's been 21 years. So I think it was a
so great.
good gamble.
Yeah. It's because he makes martinis.
And he makes a damn good martini.
It's so
Yes, he
great.
does.
That really is my role. It's like if we take this one daughter out of the thing, that's my life.
That's your whole
2
life
daughters,
right
my
there.
wife, and I'm
Yeah.
making martinis.
Baking.
Like, it'll be fine.
Yeah, that's right. Just make a martini extra dirty with blue cheese olives.
Ooh. Stuff your own olives or
Always. And you have you gotten the Amazon thing that is the stuffer?
no?
You must get that.
Really?
And the frozen trays. Can you tell I have a lot of martinis?
Yeah, this
and
is
you
my
put the
drink.
stuffed blue cheese in there, and then you pour just a tiny bit of vodka and freeze them.
Oh,
Whoa.
really?
And then you use that ice as your ice?
No,
the
I just want the olives to be really cold,
I
and they
see.
have just
Okay.
like this thin film of vodka. It doesn't freeze all the way, but
Right.
you know,
Oh, that's
good stuff.
Oh, that's really good.
I'll send you the Amazon link
Yeah,
to
please.
the pusher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Affiliated link.
This
She
is
gets
my
a
dream.
Kickback.
This is
Yeah.
my dream. I love Charleston.
Come visit.
I love it there.
When was your last time there?
About 4 months ago, Joey,
What?
right?
Wait, you didn't come to Hot Little Biscuit?
No,
What is wrong?
I hadn't learned about you yet.
What?
Joey,
Where
do you
did
remember the
eat?
theater there? By any chance? Yeah.
Where did you eat?
I was kind of in and out. I didn't eat any place remarkable, but I was downtown. You know, it was really nice. Was on my way out. I stopped at this coffee shop that hires
Betty
people
and
with
Bose.
Betty and Betty and what?
Betty and Bose.
And Bose.
It's right around the corner from my Hot Little Biscuit
It
shop.
is? No.
What a great concept, by
I
the
love
way.
them.
And
What
they're
is it?
franchising everywhere. They hire people with special needs. I know we really did not let you in on that.
I have no idea who Betty is or who Bo is.
It is
This
this
family.
family that had 2 children with special needs,
Okay.
and they wanted to start a business where they could employ people with special needs.
And so they
opened a coffee shop.
coffee shop.
And
I
it is
love it.
100% run by kids with special needs.
It's so great.
That's so
They're so
cute.
sweet.
They're so
Kids with
sweet.
Down syndrome or different
Yeah.
issues. And we were just in there super early because we were heading to the next gig. And I just found a coffee shop. That was it. And we love coffee when we're on the road. Found the coffee, go in, and I was like, she was so sweet. It was the way she was serving and like putting it up and giving us a little like, have a wonderful day. And like she was saying it the same way to everybody. I was like, she was so sweet. That was such a great shop. It wasn't until I left. And they had all this great merch and all these great T-shirts and stuff. It wasn't until I left that I realized what it was, that she was special needs and the whole place was set up so these kids can have, adult lives.
Yeah.
And be employed. And it's how many? It's like
I think they have like 30 franchises
What?
plus and growing.
Yeah, it's growing all over the country.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
I know. It was really
I
pretty
went
good.
to
And
a
their coffee's legit.
And that's what I was going to say. It better be good coffee.
Yeah.
You're like, I guess we're going back.
No, it's great.
I went to one that the whole coffee shop was, I thought this was what you're going to say. It employs vets.
Oh, nice.
Yes. I can't remember what it's called.
A barbecue place?
No, it's also like a cafe, more of a cafe where it's not just coffee. It's just, but everyone there and all the inside is just Air Force memorabilia and Navy memorabilia,
Nice.
all this like,
Yeah.
it's actually overwhelming and a little bit like, it's a lot.
Right.
Because you're walking in and
Not expecting.
I was not expecting it. And you're walking in like, I feel like I'm walking into someone's, like a scrapbook that came to life.
Right.
You know what I mean? Into their lives.
And they hire all
It's-
vets?
Yeah.
That's
all
great.
vets.
Joey, what was the place we ate in Florida that was a barbecue place that's franchised now? And it was the same thing, supporting vets.
Oh, Mission? Something?
Mission Barbecue?
Yeah.
That was, well, I hate to make it an embarrassing story about you, but
No, you don't hate it.
we
now
went in
now
and it
you've
was
got to tell.
so great. They're supporting veterans, and it's just the same thing. The decor is all military, and
Yeah.
it's just, there's a machismo that goes with that. I've never been in the military, but I kind of, bring my shoulders back a little bit and say yes, sir, and yes, ma'am, and just so they think maybe I'd been in there.
They know you haven't.
Ordering all this barbecue stuff, and Joey got one little thing of mac and cheese that was like in a baby cup, like an espresso
it?
cup. That was it.
That was that time.
That was
No
all he
BBQ?
ate.
I took a red eye the night before, really needed to eat something before we got together. I was just not hungry by the time. It was a mistake. Though.
You just need a little snack.
It was so embarrassing. I was like, they all knew then we weren't military. So your biscuit place right around the corner from them.
Yeah, we have 2 downtown. One literally less than a block from Betty and Bose, and then one about 5 blocks.
Such a great town. Such a nice place. Did you like raising your kids there?
Loved it.
Yeah.
I had a great childhood. I love being raised there.
Yeah.
It's changed a lot. It's grown, but we live in a tiny little village across the Cooper River, and you can ride your bike to school and just dreamy.
That's nice.
Really nice.
That's really good. We should have spent more time. My whole touring is people telling me great places to go eat and then never having the time to eat.
Yeah.
It's sometimes impossible.
Right?
Because you get there and then you're like, I had to splash some water under my pits and we got to get to the show. Like, you want to sit and enjoy a city sometimes and
know.
you can't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. I just called my husband on the way here, and I said, I think I'm going to stay an extra day because I'm working the whole time and I don't even have a day to
Yeah.
to eat.
Yeah.
I
He's
want
like,
to
are you
eat.
kidding me? We have thousands of biscuits flying off the line. I'm sure they're like losing their minds without you. It's
They're
like a
good.
Lucille Ball episode with just
Well,
biscuits,
it is.
biscuits everywhere.
I did QVC yesterday and then flew here last night.
Whoa.
And so the deal with
Wow.
QVC is when you do it, the orders have to go out the next day.
What?
And I didn't want to miss this opportunity. So I said, well, I'm going to make it happen. Y'all, please hold down the fort. And so they've been shipping biscuits all day like crazy. But they say
So
it's all
what
good.
happens if you go through the roof and all these orders start coming in and
That's what happens. That's what
and you
you
just
want.
and you just have to
Well,
rally?
we know like they allotted X number. And so then you never know how many you're going to sell. So
Right.
so you make ahead. So it's taken us a few weeks to make
Right.
the 30,000 biscuits that we sold in 7 minutes last night. So
7
Wow.
minutes.
isn't that crazy?
God.
Yeah.
That's
Power of that.
wild.
The power of QVC is
God.
no joke.
It's no joke.
And the fact that they just have everything.
I know.
They have
Everything.
everything.
And they
Have a
never stop
carburetor,
selling.
a
Yeah.
biscuit. Like they just have. Here's a prosthetic leg.
Right.
Okay, call in, guys. These legs are literally running out of here. I used to write jokes for Joan Rivers, and she would go do QVC. I think once a week, and she had
Whoa.
a jewelry line, and she would get there at 5 o'clock in the morning or some crazy insane hour, and go on air at 5:30, and she would sell out of her jewelry within 12 minutes,
Jeez.
and then get on a plane
And then she's
and
like,
come
"All
back.
right, I'm
Yeah,
done."
She would go for 10 minutes
That's
and
exactly.
then just leave.
I got to QVC at 9 a.m., flew up from Charleston, got there at 9, had to wait a couple hours, went on at 12, and went back to the airport. It was at the airport
Yeah.
at 1:30.
It's exactly. It's
Oh my God.
bananas.
Funny.
That's
It's wild.
amazing.
In New Jersey, right?
It's in Westchester, right outside of Philadelphia.
Oh, okay.
Right.
I'm sure they have different studios.
So, it's got to be a great feeling, though.
It is.
Getting on
It's
the
very
plane, like,
exciting.
whoa, that happened.
Yeah, it is very exciting, and you feel like you've had a good day.
Yeah.
Feel accomplished.
Yeah.
And then I've also been on the side when we didn't sell what we thought we were going to sell, and that makes you feel horrible.
Yeah.
But it really isn't. I mean, usually it's not you. It's whatever the makeup of the day and the time of day and the host
Yeah.
and who knows what it is. They've just eaten and they're not hungry, and that you
Yeah.
just never know.
Right.
But it is fun when you sell it. It's a lot of fun.
Joey, do you want to make up for you eating the mac and cheese Dixie cup and have a biscuit?
I would love a biscuit.
Which
What
one would
flavor?
you like?
Well, you should have all of them.
I would take one of the cheese ones or the everything one.
Okay, well, come
Joey,
on over.
you have a
Come on over.
metabolism that can handle one of
Yeah,
each.
you can have definitely.
He's
One of
also
each.
soaking up his alcohol from the other
Oh well,
from
this
yesterday.
is exactly what these are made for: buttermilk, cheese and chive, cinnamon with you got to put some cinnamon butter
gotta
and
put
the
blueberry.
cinnamon
Wow.
butter's
Blueberry
Yes.
has icing.
insane.
I kind of want to go with the savory
Okay.
ones though. Is that
No pressure.
just my instinct?
No, you do it.
All right.
do whatever
don't be
you have to
shy.
do.
Don't touch all of them. Don't touch all of
Yeah,
them.
get the cheese one. I gave up cheese for Lent. That's the only reason I'm not eating it.
Oh,
the
Joey.
one thing I was excited about,
take
which
those
I
two.
put in the fridge, was the pimento cheese.
Yes,
That looks pretty good.
It's really good. Have you ever had pimento cheese?
I have.
Okay, good.
Yeah, it's really good.
Do you
Little
feel like
spread.
you need to like make up new flavors all the time? Do you feel like you're like, what should we do next?
I do, and my husband says nothing. Just sell what you have. Stop.
What about a Korean barbecue? We
I'm
could
always
do
like, what about this? He's like, crackers? Like, what are you doing?
licorice, biscuit licorice. I know, because then you get inspired.
Because
and you're
that's
like,
an entrepreneurial thing. Like I am
Yeah.
always dreaming about, okay,
Yeah.
well, what can I do now? What can I do? You know.
Yes.
So that is not a good thing. I mean, sometimes it's a good thing. But
Did the crackers catch on?
we just launched them
Oh,
2 weeks
for
ago. I
real?
mean, we were making
2
them
weeks
in
ago?
very small batches.
Oh my God!
And they're going to be in Whole Foods in June.
yay.
Wow.
So I'm very
They're
excited
so
about that.
these are going to be a hit.
I think so.
I
Oh,
see
yeah.
it taking off. I see a biscuit truck.
We had a food truck
Yeah?
for many years. I sold it because that was one of the many things that my husband says, why do you need a food
Why do-
truck? Like,
Well-
you have 2 restaurants, you have a production facility, you have e-commerce, you have 2, you need to get it narrowed down a little bit.
It
And
could
it
be
was
like
hard.
a Wienermobile where it's
I
just a
know.
biscuit truck.
Yeah, good
that goes
advertising,
around-
right?
Goes around
No,
the country.
My first cookbook, I bought a old RV off of eBay for $13,000. We wrapped it in the cookbook, and I took it all over the country.
You did?
We went to Idaho multiple times and back, and went all over and did like a 25 city
Wow.
cookbook tour.
You're a hustler.
Yeah.
I'm a hustler.
You're a
Biscuit
hustler.
wedding cakes.
Oh,
When
yes.
it takes off, you give me credit.
So when you come to the restaurant, we have Biscuit birthday cakes. It's shortcakes with icing and sprinkles.
That's awesome.
We can take the shortcake dough and make it into a cake. There's all kinds of things you can do.
Wow.
Very good.
Yeah. You as much work as it is, it's like you're built for this.
I think so. I don't have any other game, so this is
Right.
it. if this doesn't work, I'm screwed. I said, John,
It's worked,
you need
right?
to-
I mean,
yeah.
20 years in.
Oh, it
can't you
has
say
totally
it's
worked. People say, when did you feel successful? I said, well, I feel successful almost every day, but I also feel unsuccessful almost every day.
Yes.
But
That's
if I'm to look at the big picture, I have to remember why I started the business. And it was
Right.
to have the lifestyle I wanted and to create a business within food.
Yeah.
And I've done that.
Yeah.
So I'm successful,
Yeah.
right?
But now
My
you can
kids
be
are-
even more successful.
Yeah. And so then when you achieve your goal, what do? You set new goals. And so I just keep going until
Right.
somebody says, enough with the biscuits.
Without naming anybody, is there a biscuit company out there that's kind of our main competition who we'd like to stomp out?
No, because I feel like there's plenty of room for everybody.
That's very nice of you.
I do.
at you.
And
Some bumper
and
sticker.
honestly, in the biscuit world, I am the smallest of all the biscuit
Really?
people on the shelves that you would know of. Like
Right.
there is another company that is probably the closest to me as far as who's going to get the attention of the big guys, and they are way ahead of me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I'm cheering them on because the more biscuits that are sold, the better my business is, right?
Right.
I mean, French
Yeah.
fries. I mean, French fries are French fries. Biscuits are biscuits. We want everybody to eat more of them, and then we
Right.
sell more, and then people want more. So,
But it's interesting because, I eat a ton and I'm aware of stuff, but I really wasn't aware of this level of biscuit, like this pre-made.
well, thank you for that.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I think that that's probably because it's not in every grocery store.
Right.
And so I don't know that we will ever be in every grocery store because it's handmade. So we'll just have to be kind of selective about who we partner with.
I'm going to show you a picture, a little story from your biscuits.
Oh,
I
love this.
I just got reminded of it. This was my buddy Steve around the corner because you sent me so many biscuits. I was like, I have to spread
You
them around.
shared the love.
So
I
the
love
people that I
that.
bring my bread to, I brought biscuits. And my buddy drove up to Northern California yesterday to see his daughters, Walnut Creek. Just finished dinner with my girls. Oakland. Did you make the crumb cake yourself? I said, yeah, whatever. And he said, Happy St. Patty's Day. Biscuits are great. And sent a picture. He was in a I guess he wasn't in a restaurant. But there's your biscuit in
Look
Northern
at
California.
there.
From my house to his house.
Perfect for St. Patrick's Day with his corned beef and looks like called Cole Cannon. Is that what that's called?
Yeah.
Yum.
Right?
So this is kind of
Yeah.
my mission about biscuits is that everyone says, oh, biscuits are so Southern. Biscuits are the bread of the South. Biscuits are the bread of our country. Because if you
Yes.
think about it, it's, one of the first breads that came to America.
Yeah.
And they've been making biscuits since the beginning of America.
Yeah.
And so it's not a Southern thing. It is the bread of your table.
It's
And
definitely
everyone should have it on their table every night.
100%. But there is definitely a love. The people in the South, I think, love them the most.
We do.
Right? I do
They're
a radio
comforting.
show with Fortune Feemster, great comedian. We do a radio show every day. Right, Joe? How often does Fortune talk about biscuits?
Every day and almost every other day wears a shirt that just says biscuits.
I love this. We need to get him some biscuits and see how mine measure
her.
up.
Yeah, her Fortune.
Excuse me.
She loves biscuits.
Aw.
She's biscuit crazy.
Well, we need to see if she likes Callie's.
Yeah, we'll bring it. We'll bring some over for sure. We'll talk it up on the radio. You've got a great product and a great story. This is really, really very cool to meet you.
Thank you. I'm so honored that you had me and waited for me.
Yeah.
He's not going to cancel a biscuit lady.
No, there's no way.
know.
You
Like,
could have
I
been an
have
hour late.
Thank you.
Yeah, and it really is. It's actually calming to meet people like yourself because it really makes me realize, I don't have to sell my bread. I could just make it and give it to my friend around the corner. I don't have the energy to be a comedian and a in the bread business, in the baking business.
Well,
it takes so much. It really, I through this little journey, have respect people who make the leap because it's so much work. And
it's really not much about the making of the biscuits. That's the easy part.
yeah, right.
And so the business is, I mean, if my job was to come and tell people like y'all every day and make biscuits and show you how I make them and have you taste them, that would be just the best.
Yeah.
That
That
would
was
be
your
the
mom's
great-
idea. That's what your mom thought she was going to do.
Yeah, but it's rarely about that.
Yeah, it's a lot of
Unfortunately.
other stuff. Well, it's got to be a good feeling that at the core, you've got a great thing that makes people happy.
It is. And I love when people say to me, well, we've been buying your biscuits for 10 years and we serve that. It's a tradition.
Yeah.
And I think, oh my, what a gift that I am a part of your family tradition.
Yeah, exactly.
Or if somebody comes to Charleston, and this happened just 2 days ago, and this happens a lot, and they said, well, we've been here for 3 days and we've eaten here every day. And I think, really?
Yeah.
Like, we're in Charleston. There are a bazillion places. What an honor.
Yeah, it's meaningful.
It's pretty cool.
That's no joke. I also have another gift for you, and it's because I made it yesterday, and I didn't. No, not that. I made an Irish coffee cake yesterday with Bailey's.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
I've never even heard of that. I love
I
this
never heard of it
idea.
either, and I made it yesterday.
Wait,
and
did you invent this?
No, I got it off of from Sam Sifton from the New York Times.
Oh,
yeah.
you know what I'm going to do, right? I just smell it. Oh,
Right?
can I have a bite?
You
Is it
do whatever
rude
you
to
want.
eat
It's
right now?
yours. Absolutely,
Oh,
100%.
I wanted to take a piece of that bread, but it's too beautiful. I need to take it home and properly.
You think
cut
it'll
it.
make it all the way back to Charleston? No.
Oh no, it
No.
won't. I don't know if it'll make it past tomorrow.
This is what happens when people give me bread on the road and I just eat it like a mouse in my hotel
Yeah.
room. I just start picking
just
at it.
pull it off.
Right.
Yeah, we got the bread from Jelina's Bakery this morning. Justa,
Oh yeah, down in
the
Venice.
sesame, and I just literally
Oh,
was
they're
just
so
like,
good.
oh my god,
Yeah,
so
those
good.
guys are legit. That's pretty good, right? You
It's
taste a little
delicious.
Bailey's in
Good
there.
job.
Yeah, thank you.
I love the little hint.
Yeah. Well, this was really a treat. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
What should we tell the people the most? What do we want them to do? We want them to
I want
order
them-
online, or we want them to go to the supermarket?
I want them to do both, but I really want you to go and support the Whole Foods. I want you to buy them and keep them in your freezer and use them for your breads,
Yeah.
breakfast, lunch, dinner. They're so easy and delicious.
It is so cool. Like, you got all these boxes, and you sent me so much, and I literally just went to the freezer, and knowing that they're all in there now,
And
it's
now
just
you-
great.
Yeah, and they last in your freezer for 18 months because they're vacuum sealed.
Yeah.
And if you want to, like, if you only have 10 minutes to reheat them, just put them out on your counter the night before,
Right.
or put them in the refrigerator, and then it cuts the reheating time in half. The freezing just is a natural preservative.
Right. Beautiful.
We're rooting for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, very cool.
Thank you.
We got it, Joe. These are so
Oh my God,
good.
this is so good.
It's pretty good, right?
Yeah, really good.
You like it, Joey? You ate the whole thing?